Hello, hello, and welcome to my thought on Saturday. It's a very gloomy Saturday in London. And I have just been introduced to the Helsinki bus theory. And that is pretty much what has happened to me. The idea, the theory, for those of you that don't know, is that in the Helsinki, this is in Finland, for those of you who are geographically challenged, the main bus station has many, many buses that all start out taking the same route. And then, at a certain point, when they leave the actual city center, they each go a different way. And an artist likened this to the way creativity develops. We all start doing the same prescribed things, and then eventually we move into our own special area, the things that we specialize in. And and this I think applies to anything that's creative. I have been saying over and over again that I have no special talent, and that is true. I have none. I have none. Uh, I am especially disgusting at art, but I wasn't that good at writing either, and those are the two fields that I pursue. And comedy. Um, those are the three fields that are very creative that I pursue that have defined my life. And when I was young, I loved art. I loved drawing, but I absolutely cannot draw. And when I was at the University of Michigan, we took a course in children's art because I was studying to be an elementary school teacher, mainly because I wanted to be a mommy, but I was doing that. And the idea was that we were to sit at a table and draw a portrait of the person who sat across from you. And I was totally taken with this. There was a beautiful blonde girl, and I was working on her portrait, and I was into it. And right in the middle of what I was creating there, she got up and asked the instructor if she could please change her seat because I was so bad. And the other, now this is years later, I took a workshop in Scottsdale, and we were doing nudes, which was not really my interest. I've always liked apples and oranges and still lives better. Um, but we were doing nudes, and I thought, well, by God, if that's what we're supposed to be doing, I'll be doing it too. And this woman was posing, who was very, very well endowed. And I am from a family where I have never seen anyone's naked body, including my own. So this was really quite a shock to me because her pectoral muscles were immense, just immense to me. I had never seen anything that big. I thought, my God, how does that woman stand up? And so I started drawing. Now we had a week. We had a week. It was a 7-day workshop, a 5-day workshop, Monday through Friday. And on Monday, she took off her blouse and her bra, and there she was in all her glory, and everybody started drawing. And I'm really working on this because I'm remembering about the portrait where the lady changed her seat, and I don't want to do anything that's really insulting. So I worked really hard. And on Friday, I was still on her left breast, and I hadn't even gotten to the nipple. I was doing the blood veins, the veins, the thing. And I realized, listen, I just am not meant for this. But I continued painting, and that we figured out it has to be 52 years that I've been painting, and I paint. I mean, you can see it behind me. All those things are my paintings. I paint, and I've done nothing really consciously to improve my painting or to make my painting more original. But because I've been doing it for 52 years, it has become very original and very different. And inadvertently, because I have no interest in selling these things, just because I just don't think they're good enough. But I sell them. People will come in and they will fall in love with the painting, and they will take it, and they'll ask me, how much do you want to charge? no idea. And I will think of, well, what did I have to pay for the frame and add a couple pounds to it or a couple dollars, depending on who's asking, and sell it, and be really amazed because art is a way to speak to others. And the same is true with my writing. I have been writing since I was 10. I have been writing since I was 10. Oh, before then. But I won a prize. I won a silver dollar when I was 10. I think that was when I was 10. I wrote a poem about a street light. That's what I did. And I think I was a little older. I was something like 12 when I entered a contest for Dorothy Thompson. Those of you who don't know who Dorothy Thompson is, she was a famous United States journalist. And it was a contest, and I wrote something, a biography about her, about 5 sentences, a little paragraph. And I won. That was when I won the silver dollar. And I knew my career was going to be writing. I knew that. And I have written ever since. And I just keep writing. I am not particularly stellar. I just keep writing. Then, after the second divorce, I went to Stanford and I majored in journalism. No real interest in fiction, but I wanted to write about what I saw because, for me, the more I write about my what's happening in my life, the more I understand it. It defines me. And I remember I have a friend, Lisa Ortiz, who writes also, and she writes poetry, and her poetry is marvelous. And I said to her, "Why do you write?" And she said, "Why do you breathe?" And I got it because I too could not live if I didn't codify my thoughts, if I didn't write. And I've been writing, and I've discovered that what used to take me hours to make something publishable takes me about 3 minutes now. I just can write. It's I've been doing it now for 76 years, and I can write. Um, and I stayed on the bus, and that's exactly what happened with my art. I stayed on the bus. Now, when it came to comedy, I have always been a maverick, and I have always had trouble being accepted. And each of us has a different way of trying to make ourselves accepted. And I did it by being funny. I was always the joker. I was always doing something funny. I remember when I was in high school, uh, this was in Scott High School, we had windows that pretty much were the whole wall, and they had a ledge on the outside. And I remember one time crawling up, it was in Miss Henrietta Statiker's Latin class, and she was late because she was smoking a cigarette. And I walked out on that ledge and walked down past my classroom to the study hall classroom. And when the people in the study hall were busy studying, when they looked out, it looked like I was walking on air. Well, I thought that was the funniest thing. I just thought it was so funny. So I was that kind of comedian. I also organized a trip to the art museum, and my friend Donald Levitt said he would drive, and he was driving a Crosley. I don't know whether you know what a Crosley is, but a Crosley has a room for one passenger, that's all. And I got 14 of us to go on this trip, and we managed to pile into that Crosley. Donald barely had room to drive the car, but this was my idea of being funny. So I've always been out of the box, and I've always been funny. But then when I was 70, and I discovered stand-up comedy, and I had absolutely no idea that people stood up and talked about their lives and made it funny. I had no idea. But by that time, I had actually been doing it for 60 years. And that is why I stayed on the bus, not even knowing it was a bus. But that is why I had inordinate success at comedy. Um, I was a success. I was a success, a mild success from the moment I began. I in my 16 years of comedy, I actually bombed. That was where no one laughed, only twice, and once was with a bunch of Stanford PhD candidates when I was attempting to do my classic striptease, and because there was no mic stand and I had to hold the mic and try to take off my clothes at the same time. I was getting completely tangled up in the mic, and I mean I was just a complete. I was tangled up. I couldn't get the clothes off, and the PhD students were paying no attention. And the other one was in Billericay in Essex when They just fell asleep. It was ghastly. And after that one, oh, it was terrible. Nobody laughed at all, and I was just doing my best. And this would have been in 2015, not that long ago. And it was a nightmare. I remember it as if it was yesterday. And this woman came up to me after, and she said, "Oh," she said, "you were wonderful," because you need to know that postmenopausal women think I'm a tremendous inspiration, and I will never figure that one out, but they do. And I said to her, "Thank you very much, but I would have appreciated if you would have awakened the people that were sitting at your table, because everybody was either asleep or talking to each other during this 40 minutes that I was up there attempting to make someone laugh." But the idea is I have stayed on the bus. And most of you who want to start a new career, you're at a point where you're tired of the same old, and want to start something new. You think, I'll never be able to do it because I don't have any natural talent. Well, you're looking at someone that does three things really very, very well and had absolutely no natural talent in the beginning. But I stayed on the bus. So my recommendation to you is whatever you're doing, whatever you're trying, whatever little dream you have, stay on that bus and you'll make it happen. And thank you so much for joining me on my thought on this Saturday.